Heidi ho, welcome to Knowledge and Nonsense. Hey, Mr. Perkins, how you doing?
Hey Sharon, how are you? Happy
Man, I'm
Sabbath.
good. I'm good. I've been working and working. March is one of the months that I reset. August is the main one, but March is, it's the start of spring, so we're coming out of the winter. So, my days start a little earlier in March and in August.
How,
So yeah, you working a lot, man. You putting in the hours.
hey, when you reset, what's your process? I saw this quote, um, and it said something along the lines of, "On your journey, don't quit, just take a rest." Right? So
Yeah.
how do you reset?
Oh, for me, how I reset is, and I've been doing it for years, and it truly has been, I think it's one of the reasons I'm able to, accomplish a lot of the things. First, for those who don't know, my faith. But when I reset, I look at everything. It's like a hard stop. I don't add anything to my plate during that time. I only look at what I'm doing, and I do it holistically. So I look at every piece of my pie, so to speak, every slice of my pie. I look at what's working, what's not working, what is still working, what hasn't had time to really show if it's working or not. But I look at all of it and I take my feelings out of it during the first look. And then when I look again, I think about how I feel about it to see if it's going to stay on the board. Because some things like, okay, there were some things that were working before COVID, so to speak, right? But then when COVID hit, those things didn't work. And so you look at what's working, what's not working. Sometimes you outgrow certain things. Sometimes you don't have the bandwidth or the capacity because we all are finite beings, not being funny. We all, certain things are certain. We were born, we're going to die, you know?
That's gonna happen. So when you reset, you said you look at what's working, what's not working. Do you have a different process or method for every area in your life, work, personal, finances, or
ROI,
is it
ROI.
a holistic timeout? I want to know, what's that process like?
Okay, hey, so let's just talk. Hey, welcome to Knowledge and Nonsense. Feel free to share this video if you have any comments or questions. You guys know what to do. Put it in the chat box. Or if you have a question and maybe you're not quite sure that you want everybody to know you asked that question, although there's no shame here, you can text it to 214-717-5921. I will get that text. I will ask the question. No one knows it comes from you. And yeah, we'll move on. Let's start this conversation. But we're talking about past, present, and future. We're really going to talk a lot about the present. Dwayne has already jumped into it, but that's what we're going to do. Dwayne, can I answer this question after we do our
Yes.
after we like officially? Let's go ahead and officially start this and give people time to share the video, subscribe to the YouTube page. Yes, you can go and do that right now. Subscribe, and let's give them about 20 seconds to get situated. And let's jump into that process.
Let's get it. No.
All right, and we're back. You're watching Knowledge and Nonsense with myself, Sharon Combs, and Mr. Dwayne Perkins, president of CS Assist. My name is Sharon Combs. I'm the founder of UCDI Leadership, which is a network of individuals designed to help you push past internal and external barriers that could be preventing professional and personal growth. So you asked me about the reset, and you asked me about the process of that hard stop. So timeout, hard stop. So what I do when I'm looking at what's working, what's not working, what could be working better, what do I want to see work, I look at ROI. And here's the thing with ROI, your return on investment, you have to know what you're doing it for. If you don't know what you're doing it for, like time and money are things that people will always come and take from you, not intentionally, not because they don't like you, but just because, I feel like if you don't know your call, you're going to answer somebody else's. So time and money are things that will go away from you. So what I do, I look at it based on my ROI. Um, if I'm writing a book, ROI, what am I writing that book for? Am I getting it? Um, what am I giving my time to? And if you like, if you're getting burnt out, or if you feel like someone's taking advantage of you, you begin to kind of feel resentful of things. You something that you thought was a blessing at first, you begin to kind of feel like, man, it's a curse. I look at my health. For me, if I start sleeping and my shoulders are raising up, or I'm like grinding my teeth in my sleep, then I'm saying, okay, what is it that's causing that? That's not something that's I've dealt with my whole life. It only happens when I'm extra stressed. So that's what I do. I look at my ROI. Okay, so maybe I'm getting an ROI for me, Lorraine, is different than just finances. I'm big on impact, visibility, change. I am a change agent. I'm also a catalyst because I want to see people step into what they want to do, not what I want them to do, what they want to do. So
Gotcha.
my ROI comes from that. Who am I helping? I have a mentor. Who am I mentoring? My ROI comes from what's the progress that we're seeing, you know, and what doesn't get measured, you can't manage what's not measured. You don't know if it happened. But if somebody, say I'm mentoring a teenager, if that teenager, instead of immediately quitting a job they don't like, or instead of blaming someone else for something they could have had responsibility for, when I see them begin to say, man, what if I'd have done it this way? Instead of saying, she act like it's a big deal, to a parent or something, I know that that's ROI there. Um,
Okay.
so,
Okay.
and money too. Don't get me wrong, money's not my primary ROI, but money is in there. Money answers all things now. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have money, you're still gonna sleep stressed.
I do. I understand that. I think the interesting part for me to hear you walk us through that process is because I know you are supporting so many projects, so many people. So when you say you're able to just press reset, that has to impact the people you're mentoring, your customers, your production schedules. It has to impact everything. And so, how does one manage those multiple timelines? Because being
Okay.
so that's I think our audience is gonna really benefit from truly digging into how does it's easy if you're just you're one person, one shift, one project, one department. What about those folks who are um, truly
Overseeing
multitasking?
multiple things.
Yes, yes.
Okay, no, that's good. That's really good. Especially, because with the progressive leadership program where you've seen and you've been actually a part of some of the things I do, from speaking to the immersion trainings. No, the things you're already doing, things that you are already committed to, you're already responsible for, you can't just hard stop on that. I don't take on anything new. And I already know, come March and come August, I really do it hard. I mean, like, there may be some retreats and everything. Spring is a reset check-in. Am I still doing the things I decided on in August? So what other people do over New Year's, we're already doing in August. By the time New Year's happen, we're into our timeline. So you're juggling multiple projects. You do the reset. You don't take on anything new. You continue to fulfill what you already have. And since I know in advance that this is going to happen in March and in August, I'm already setting things up. Um, it just so happens this is Women's Month. But if you notice, we've had some dynamic guest hosts on, so it works for me that way. Not only does it benefit our, what you would call constituents, but it benefits our audience and whoever is listening, and our industry, because people are able to share expertise and not just hear me and you speak all the time. But that's also something that's less time consuming for me because someone else is driving those conversations. It benefits everyone. So I know that that's going to happen. So I think in advance you have to anticipate, what Sharon Green Golden would call, following the trends and watching what's happening, making plans in advance. So that's what I do. But the things I'm already committed to, I continue to do them and I prioritize them, because you're looking at everything. If there's something I'm committed to, Luane, and it was an overextension, that's the humbling part, because I have to admit to myself, And to that person, oh dog, I overextended. I know I said I could help you, but I can't. And I'll apologize. I can't. I really wanted to. I didn't want to tell you no, but actually I'm at capacity. Yeah, go ahead.
So, inside the Huffington Post, there's a good article on some of the multiple ways to first reset in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll share the link. But one of the points, it says truth. It says in order to reset, you must be truthful with yourself about the areas in your life that need a reset and why. And if there's many areas that need a reset, um, you start with the one that will empower you the most, so you can attack all the other resets with your big enthusiasm. So check out that post. After reading that post and engaging in this conversation, if you know you're gonna be resetting in March, uh, does your mind begin to race towards a date to reset? Like you know when the 17th is coming, I'm a planner. I'm planning to read. Do you race to a date to reset, or
Not anymore. Not anymore. Now, my first few resets, yes, because my first reset was not like, hey, I believe I'm going to reset. I was resetting before I shared it with the public, before it became something that people could come and join me in. And the first one wasn't a thought out process. The first reset was I was overwhelmed, frustrated. My interactions with others, stuff I cared about, I began to be like, man, I don't give a rip. And so I began, so that reset was almost forced upon me. It was like, you need to sit down. And if you don't sit down and find out what's going on, what's going where, who's doing what, who's on first, who's on first, what's on second, that analogy. If you don't sit down and figure that out, you're going to snap. And I don't mean snap like go postal. I mean, you're going to snap. You're going to end up quitting a job, but you still have a mortgage and children. I don't have children, but I have a mortgage. You're going to maybe not show up for something that you really want to show up for. Like and so that first reset, no, my mind, the first reset, there was no racing toward it because it was pushed upon me. And then I began to see the benefit of the reset. So you can go from shooting a shotgun, which is buckshot everywhere, to being more precise in attacking your targets.
so for our leaders out there, you have to understand your why, right? Understanding
Mhm.
your what you're taking on, and I want to get into a little later how do you reset. But a question is, if you're working with on a team, are you able to identify when your partners or your coworkers or even your staff members need a reset? Can you say, wait a minute, Wayne needs a reset? You
Yes,
know
yes,
how?
yes.
What are
Um,
the signs?
the signs of identifying, first, definitely the more visible signs are similar to burnout signs. Um, but burnout signs are more physically evident because conversation gets shorter. The conversation changes, the work performance, the amount of care and diligence in the work performance. It's either going to be overly controlled or just you kind of get apathetic with it. But it becomes spectrum, like polar spectrum things. It's not on the middle of the energy line anymore. We're getting to extremes. And that's what I can see in work performance. Now, if you listen to somebody in conversation, you can hear when they're speaking on different things. I'm here, I've studied certain things. And so you can hear like their speech can become more pressured. Pressured speech isn't high or low, but it's like the words are just rushing, rushing, rushing. The words are just rushing. And that's because that's how their mind is going, because they're juggling so much stuff. They're juggling so much stuff. And so I can tell with the pressured speech. Sometimes I can tell with the volume and frequency of the tone, the pitch, when they speak about certain things or certain people. Um, Tolerance is less, not just for people, but also for processes. And so those are indicators for me that, all right, they some such and such needs a break. But then you also have to you have to figure out or help them figure out if they don't know what they really need a break from.
Mm.
What they need a break from, you
Interesting.
know. And
So
that's everybody. That's not the thing is some people think that's a sign of weakness. That's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of strength. And sometimes just taking that moment to reset, you feel like everybody else is running. I gotta keep up. I gotta keep up. You don't have to keep up. Reset. If you reset and channel and figure out what you want to work on and how you want to work on it, you're going to start accomplishing your goals and checking things off. That means something to you and to yours. Who cares about keeping up with everybody? Everybody doesn't even know your name. What are you doing? You know?
wow. So how does that fit into today? We just been thanks for dropping these gems.
Uh,
How does that fit into past, present, and future? Which is
oh, yeah. No, past, present, and future. It's knowledge and nonsense. Again, thanks for watching Knowledge and Nonsense. I thought, we should maybe, since it's us, we check into what got us started with knowledge and nonsense. What it's for, who it's for, why
mm,
we do it. Also, present, where it is now. Again, with the reset. At a time, where everybody, remember, I'm sure you do remember, but remember at the beginning of the pandemic, you
mm-hmm.
know, you're already like, hey, how can I be a help to people in SPD? You're trying to be a help to individuals from the tech role, from technician, organizational chart level, from technicians all the way to CEOs. You're
Remember.
helping people with operational planning, make sure their operations are good, capacity planning. How does this run smoothly? How does this supply chain? How can they support volume for real? A real time minimizing delay, a real time decrease in errors, setting up QA processes. You're tackling that.
Hey,
I'm tackling the people of sterile processing
I
who have
remember.
these bodies. Go ahead.
Hey, I remember. I remember the conversations.
Yeah.
Is everything around us was in a state of chaos. It was
Yeah.
administrative chaos. Here's a quick story. I had a staff member who was working in Boston at the time, and because of so much misinformation, um, and different points of approach as to what was going on, he he left an account really early. He broke an account because he was afraid that the bridges in his city were going to be closed off, and he wouldn't be able to get back home.
He wouldn't
Think
be
about
able to
that,
get back home.
right?
Yeah.
He won't be able to get back home, and this gentleman wasn't a conspiracy theorist. He was a regular Joe working a 9 to 5 who was a high functioning employee, but it was so much confusion, so much misinformation, um, so much chaos that permeating through multiple departments. He actually worked in the ER. We Part of our conversation was how can we help? What do we do? Right.
Right.
So it was out of chaos sometimes comes order. We had to be able to manage the information. Look at our international neighborhood because it wasn't just our block,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And fortunately enough, we had some like minds. We had the resources collectively to pull this thing off, and we created something very special, very very
Yeah.
special.
It was excellent. And not just that's just it. So that was going on within side of the healthcare, the sterilization community, but also in my community outside of healthcare. And a lot of times you say my community, immediately people think melanin. Yes, that is my community, but that's not my only community. It's not the only community I'm a part of. And the misinformation was there too. And so I'm like, no, we have to give these people right information. I remember one of the rappers, common rapper, well-known rapper, had put out a post talking about, that Black people can't catch COVID. And so many people in one of my communities, many young people gave that the same type of credibility as if the CDC had said it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is foolishness. We have to do something that would just share information. We can't force it, but we need to pump some correct information in there. And so that's why we said knowledge or nonsense. Let's vet some of the stuff people are saying.
That's right.
Just because someone says it doesn't make it so. Who said it? Where did it come from? That type of thing. And
Man,
so that
it's,
was like the past.
yes,
And
yes.
from a business standpoint, helping people understand transition. Like
It,
the change happened like this, but it took people a long time. You remember when we were still saying stuff like, okay, but by Easter it'll be okay.
yeah,
In
yeah,
America, they were like, well,
yeah.
we'll have to wear masks only 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is we reset whether we called it that or not, we reset. When we had those conversations, we were like, what's
Remember,
working, what's not working. And I'm like, no, you have to look at the marketplace, look at everything dealing with what you want to see an ROI in. I
mhm.
was like, did we realize that the NBA is shut down?
Eh,
A
listen,
multi-million-dollar industry just on one day. So imagine the billions connected to that industry, and for them to shut it down, a
yo,
capitalist economy to shut down
it's a
the
big deal.
NBA.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a
Do
really
you
big
remember
deal.
I was already wearing the mask and gloves in February on airplanes?
Hey,
I had gone to
you.
Florida to speak, and they were like,
Let me
"You're in
tell
the
you something.
hospital." I was like,
You,
"Whatever."
you were far ahead of the game. You know, you were a
Yeah,
trailblazer, and people thought you were nuts. Let's call what it
yeah,
is. You know, I'm like, wait a minute. She's wearing a mask and gloves on a plane, and
yes, I
she
did.
had
On
a
my way to speak at a hospital. On my way to
yes.
speak at a local chapter meeting for Isham.
I
Yeah,
remember that. I remember that. But that and speaking about the past, we filled the void, right? Because some of those conversations that we were having here on knowledge or nonsense, we people were having at the kitchen table. I've heard them saying rumblings. You know, you can't catch it if you're from a certain demographic or race. You can't catch it if you're from a certain age. This is not this is not a everyone's disease. That mindset was kicking in. You know,
yeah. Young people can't get
that's
it.
right. I remember that.
It's only old and white. I was like, do you not understand virus? This isn't a skin virus. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting. Yeah, it's not a skin virus. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was real. You know, even to the point of trying to seek out home remedies. Right? I remember this. There was a whole network, a whole community exchanging notes on home remedies. Right? How to prevent it. And not saying all the information was bad information. Some was very good information. Um, but it wasn't what was being promoted officially from our science, which brings us back to why we started our past. You know, the people driving the ship wasn't all driving in the same direction. No, we it wasn't.
Yeah. So I had the honor and privilege of being able to be a part of a book that Sharon Green Golden spearheaded called "Wow, the Pandemic: What I Learned During the Pandemic." And a lot of the people leading weren't driving the same way or the same speed or even the same direction, but it was a pandemic. I know America has had one before, but not these Americans. This was a first time occurrence for these Americans. And that is just a fact of life. When somebody hits something for the first time, it's not going to it's not going to be nice and tidy or picture perfect. That's why you want to have contingency plans in place. And not political. This is not a political show, but we do knowledge or nonsense. Prior to the pandemic, we actually had a pandemic response team that had been pretty much disbanded, because it was like, that's not really going to happen. That's a waste of our tax dollars. And nobody knew it was going to happen at the time. But that's why you have contingency plans in hospitals. Again, in that book, Wow, Sharon Green Golden really laid out some really good ways to set up policies and plans for things that are unexpected. So, which brings us we all have crazy stories, right? But that brings us kind of to the present. And the present is there's been a lot of changes since then. So, what are some of the present things that we see that weren't here, before the pandemic? Like before we started doing knowledge and nonsense, what are some of the changes? What's present that wasn't past? That's a good way to say it. What is present that wasn't past?
Further in the past. And you know what? That's a great way to say it. We also were able to touch and are still able to touch topics and areas that other platforms simply cannot, because their sponsors may not accept it, right? And we're clear in our partnerships. It has to be a range. We have to be able to adopt to people in our neighborhood, our
Yeah.
international neighborhood. So I think that's important to mention that you're gonna get some opinion here, but you're also gonna get vetted, factual information. You're gonna get vetted
Real
and factual.
talk.
Yep.
One of our guests who was from one of our guests from Pakistan. I know him just, he is a sterilization advocate. But one of our guests, I think that one of our guests is actually in a governing or a board type capacity now with one of the industry, with one of our industry associations. And so that's been awesome. I mean, more than one of our guests have done that, but that was an international guest.
Oh
And I
yeah,
believe he's the first international person to take this role. So, man, we've been a part of a lot of firsts,
that's
a
right.
lot of firsts. And I'm very proud of it. And I'm proud of our industry for stepping up where there were stigmas. This is something that's present that wasn't much as past. Things that before were like, wow, that one person has done that, or okay, that one or two people. Now we see all people. We see a lot of women. We see a lot of younger people. We see a lot of different cultures and colors and blends and hues. What actually makes up healthcare? We're beginning to see those things reflected in healthcare leadership around the way. And so I'm excited about that. I really do.
Oh,
I know
so
in my knower that we're a part of that. And
we
again,
are.
that's part of my ROI.
It's that's beautifully said. We and listen. I'm from the era, right? 80s, right? I'm from that era. We had a term called biting, right? And for those that don't know what biting means, it's a fun term. It simply means I see something that I think is gonna work, that I can incorporate or adopt. I might borrow it long term.
Yeah.
I might I might AKA jacket, steal it, whatever the case may be. So I find joy knowing that we introduced a lot of people behind the scenes that are now in position, seeking greatness. There
Yeah.
were many conversations. A lot of ideas were foundational investments were given to our guests. Some colleagues in multiple industries that propelled them uh, to achieve greatness, and are still doing great things. So we definitely found a path. We answered a question because we not. It's rare when you got a business that can be started in the midst of a crisis, right? Think about that. It was in the midst of a crisis. Everyone's scrambling to figure out who's
We were
on
at the
first.
beginning of it.
We
We
at the
were at the
beginning.
beginning of the
That's
crisis.
right.
And
That's right.
but it's good. You know what? And it's awesome because it wasn't like a lot of times with businesses, you're quote unquote like bootstrapping. No, not bootstrapping is not the right word. But you're figuring out a lot as you go. But I already have a leadership and a transition, like speaking and helping people navigate coaching. So I have 20 something years in that. I have about a decade or so in SPD. You have years and years in SPD and with SPD leadership, healthcare, period. And so we had those tools. We already had a heart to hit communities and put people in positions, people who were not just placeholders. Nobody have time for placeholders. You placeholders while owning your space type of stuff. And so it just worked. Yeah, and I know that term biting, but
Biting.
again, it's like things I grew up with. When one day I may share some of my story.
Okay.
Um, but things I grew up with, the term biting is like, man, you bit that. Stop biting off me. Like, stop copying me. Stop trying to be me. Stop trying to do this. But in business, it's unfair and it's humbling to people who are new. But in business, that's all people are waiting to do is bite.
Oh
Some
yeah.
people want to be innovative, but the more established businesses, that's why they buy things up. I don't want to say the name of this one company, but they buy up companies because they see that, and they don't bite, they eat. They don't bite, they eat. But that is a business principle. I always think about Nasir Evans. Nasir is out of the East Coast. And when I tell you he knows sterile processing like
Yeah.
the back of his hand, like the back, the front, like the type of, he knows sterile processing and he's passionate. But he was the first. A lot of people say, this is the first, this one company is the first podcast. They're not. Nasir Evans had podcasts. He has magazines, Steamly magazines, uh, LLC, was coaching people. He has always tried to, tell SPD individuals, you can do this. Now he's an introvert. He's not an extrovert. So he doesn't shout it from the mountaintop. But I met him at a Isham conference years ago. And
Shout out to
he had a
yeah.
magazine.
Yeah.
And he had before the names that we see now, before Knowledge and Nonsense, before other companies were doing it, he was doing it. And so with Knowledge and Nonsense, we wanted to be sure to give visibility as well as answer questions. No, you don't need to this single use item. No. Well, when can we? Okay, that's when you have emergency use authorization, like really helping people who may not be a part of ISHM/HSPA or CBSPD. They may be having to figure it out on their own, and so we wanted to provide information.
It's so powerful because in our current phases in our careers, right? Even what we presented and innovated and brought to Knowledge and Nonsense, for many look on the outside, we were already wildly successful, right? You got to think about that. We didn't come here seeking success, right? And that's the blessing, right? We made our mark. We hit many milestones financially, professionally, socially. Though we didn't have to enter this broadcast space or that diaspora seeking to become. We already are, right? We came here to share. That's the difference, right? So if you're in a space to seek success, I wish you success. If you're in a space to just to share and what you already have accomplished to a visible stage to empower others, we've accomplished that as well. So Knowledge and Nonsense has truly been a blessing and has, forged its way to a position that a lot of people know this brand. They know the name, and this is organically. No, we didn't. There was no marketing push to get out there, right? We were solving a problem, and that problem. Yeah, go for it.
No, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but I'm just thinking about. You remember we're like, well, we're on, but like it'll say zero, no one's watching. But then like this marketing company came and they're like, hey, you guys have like 200,000 views, and I'm like, what? And now we have almost 300,000 views. But just yesterday, I was speaking with someone, and they were telling me that someone saw them on the show. And this person has like several thousand followers just on LinkedIn. And they're like, yeah, someone saw me on the show. I was like, only 2 people were watching that show. And it was like, no. And they were telling me, what had happened based off somebody seeing them on the show. And I was like, like you laugh, like that's crazy, but you never know who's watching or who's listening. And again, that's part of our ROI as well. We want to help, impact the community, influence people, let them know, is it knowledge or is it nonsense? Help people make an informed decision and just bring more information to individuals. So let's take this quick commercial break. We're going to do 2 commercials. And then we'll be right back to talk more about the future, because things have changed. We have a lot more entrepreneurs. We have a lot more people who are wanting to do books, businesses, podcasts, things like that. So, hey, share this video, click in for this next section, because we're going to give you guys some tips and some tools that mainly come only from coaching, but we're going to share some stuff for free today. So bring your questions. If you're thinking about it, bring your questions. We'll be right back.
Give it away now.
Give it away now. Yeah. All right, and we're back. Hey guys, thanks for watching Knowledge and Nonsense. My name is Sharon Combs. This is Lorraine Perkins. We're
Hey,
talking about
hey.
past, present, and future. Lorraine had asked me some things about resetting. So all of that has been on the top part of the show. Now, here in the present, as we move into the future, many people have started their own business. They have begun to collaborate with other individuals. They begin to step into what I call their own power. Now, I don't know what the professional term for that is, but you recognize your own power or your own worth. There's been a huge fallout from the pandemic where healthcare people was just like, we're tired. And so they started their own stuff, yay for you, kudos for you. And so now let's talk about the future, some of the future things with knowledge and nonsense. A lot of people don't know we have job fairs, like we're for real about putting people on. We are so serious about putting people on. And yeah, there's enough room. Listen, there's room. There's room. So let's go ahead, Dwayne, because we're gonna put your questions in the chat box. We're gonna give you we're gonna respond. You want to know about starting a business? What does this look like? How do you transition? Let's do it.
Yeah, well, you mentioned 2 points. You mentioned walking into your power, right? So giving your power away results in losing yourself and voice. To regain your power, you must become committed to the journey of finding yourself, regaining your own confidence, and going through this healing process. So just wanted to put some substance around that powerful term. Look, Knowledge and Nonsense has a list of mentors, companies that want this sort of advisement of how to enter into a brand new space with the skill sets you already have grown and how to share it. Sometimes it feels like we are like that, like the United Nations of broadcast space. You know why? Because folks who would consider themselves competition, we have no competition, right? It's not a race. You have a seat here on the show. You come be our guest. We want you to propel the greatness. We want you to share with our audiences who you are. What's your product? How did you achieve your fame? And for those who took that opportunity to come sit and talk with us, we made some long-lasting bonds, some amazing bonds.
Yeah, it's been great, and the future bonds too, because we're already talking about things we will do together, even in the future. No, there is no. Again, in business, you study business, and they're like competition. It's capitalist, like you got to get it before other people get it, and that can be true. That can be true, but that's why you have to know your ROI. As Lorraine said, both of us had revenue and income before we started this.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we don't do things for revenue and income. Knowledge and Nonsense is its own entity as well. Mm-hmm. But we both have things that help us, with our mortgage and things like that. I do things with media that individuals don't know. I speak, I'm an author. I help other people publish books. So the Wayne laughs, he's like, oh, what'd you call me, a serial entrepreneur?
Hey, it's true. I'm like, wait, I'm like, wait a minute, like slow down. You're doing this and that and that and that.
Yeah. But listen, man, that was one of even with TikTok, they was like, so you're this, but you're also this. But in all the things I do, it has a common DNA thread, which again, the reset helps you understand that. But no, those things that I do, I'm saying like, so we don't have to elbow and jockey. We put it out there, but we don't elbow and jockey for it. And I believe we've been blessed for it. Like I said, people are watching, and I have developed some awesome relationships just off this show.
Well, we had some amazing guests.
Man.
We had some amazing guests.
We have some amazing ones coming up. I'm like,
yes, keep watching.
Yeah.
Keep watching, because what was cool is that this platform of Knowledge Nonsense isn't limited by occupation, isn't limited. We're not regionalized, So when we say international neighbor, we mean that. We mean we have guests who are actively in the NBA, who are actively in leadership at multinational companies. Some of the most well-known brands who took the time to come here just to say hello, drop some gems,
Let's
invest in
see.
us so we can divest in you all.
Let's roll us. Let's see. Athletes, comedians, coaches, D1 level, physical therapists, dentists, CPAs, financial planners, hairstylists, politicians,
You name
from the
it.
local level all the way up.
Let's
What else?
talk about it.
Friends, families,
Yes.
power couples, couples
Yes.
who work together, real estates. Hey, Arlene. So we've had the same way we've had some key industry voices. We've had key healthcare industry voices. We've had key voices outside because although we work very long hours in healthcare, we do not live there.
The world goes
We
on.
still have to navigate PTAs and taxes on our houses and taxes and apartments and
Financial,
yeah.
listen, financial advisors. This has been a blessing, and we know if we can touch this one person to empower them to do something different, to give them to hone their skill sets, to be able to determine is it knowledge or is it
Or is it
nonsense,
nonsense? Yeah.
right? We did our job. It was a powerful moment. How we the scrub ball. We were able to have a live broadcast from this. One of the dopest events I've been to. We don't. Not many of us get a chance to wear tuxedos every day and rub elbows with mayors of major cities, right? But Scrub Ball last year, Knowledge and Nonsense held an amazing show. With some local leaders, healthcare leaders, some of the biggest institutions in that Dallas Tri-State area. Sharon Golden was also there. It was just a lot of fun.
Sharon
And
Golden, Jamel Ross,
yeah,
Damian Berg.
yes. Damien killed it.
He killed it. No, you know who killed it? Oh my gosh, what's the guy who was there who was training the nurses? Oh, I can't think of his name right now. He
I think
was
he's
part of Steris.
from Starrish. Yeah,
Yeah, but he
killed.
and this lady were training her. And I'm not a nurse, but I was like, I want to kind of go
Yes.
in there. They were having a good time. Man, they knew the stuff. They were great educators. That let's see, Sarah B. Cruz. It was some good people there.
It was. It was. I
The
mean,
lady stopped by from the clubhouse lady was there.
all
Let's see,
of
Lorraine was there. It
listen,
was
we had Sarah B. Crew. Shout out to Sarah. Was in the house, working the crowd. Connecting with so many people. When I tell you, our colleagues and friends showed up. As an extension of Knowledge and Nonsense to attend and support the Scrub Ball. Listen,
wait,
we
the comedy show. The
what?
sold out comedy show.
Let me
Like
tell you,
people couldn't get into the comedy show. It was sold out. And
they
I
don't.
saw that cat on social media giving a shout out with Bill Bellamy.
He killed
So
it.
yeah.
Rudy Rush
Yeah.
killed it. Let me tell you something. I don't know what floor in the beautiful hotel that the comedy show was held on, but I do remember it was on the upper floor. I do remember being in the lobby, and the line of people. This is a true story, Knowledge and Nonsense of viewers. The line of people rushing in to get to this comedy show was like, wow, it was unbelievable. We need to laugh more, and don't be ashamed or embarrassed to have fun. You deserve it. So shout out to all other industry shows coming up. Shout out to all of them from ARN to above. But
ARN just ended, and the guest that was on last Saturday was actually at ARN.
Yeah,
And they had some thunderstorms coming through too,
yeah,
but they had the marching band. She said it was amazing. She said it was so good to be in person again. I'm excited. I'm excited about HSPA coming up in April. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, let me do this. Real talk. As we're talking about the future, for those who have started businesses, I may say some things, but I'm not going to answer any questions. Dwayne is right. I probably am a serial entrepreneur. I don't try to be. Just since I was 14, I believe you want more than one pot on the stove. I like oatmeal. I can live off oatmeal. I can eat oatmeal, but I may want some size or something different instead of just oatmeal. So I've always had more than one pot on the stove. I've always had more than one thing going on. But with HSPA, I am excited about HSPA coming up. Here's the deal: sterile processing, whatever industry you're in, when you're so busy and you're working, and if you are a strong worker, you know that the strong workers often get rewarded with more work because, not to punish you, but people need it done, so they keep coming to you. You become a go to. That's a blessing, and sometimes it can be a curse, especially if you don't know how to be assertive or say, no, that's enough, or how to train up someone else. But when you're so busy working and you're in this tunnel vision, you can feel like you're alone. If it's only two of you in your department, you can feel like it's only you two. Let me tell you what coming to meetings does, what having associations outside of the only you two do. It helps you realize, A, it's not only you two. B, you do have information you can pull from other sources. Instead of you doing self-study 24 years, you may be able to say, man, I'm struggling with this. Our sterilizer keeps doing this. Or I have this problem with the locks. This company that we get our locks from, this always happens. And they may say, oh, okay, go over here. And you don't have to spend 27 years researching something. Also, when you go to HSPA, one of the benefits, I'm gonna tell you what I believe the benefits of HSPA is, and what I believe the benefits of Scrubball is, and what I believe the benefits of like oh like nursing conferences are, even though you're in sterile processing based on your position. With HSPA, your first time going to HSPA and every time, you're gonna see technology that you haven't seen. You're gonna see so many vendors. It's amazing. You're going to see people and you're going to realize, oh my God, it is not just me and somebody else. This is a for real $1 billion industry. Sterilization is a $1 billion industry. And when you go to an ISHM conference or a HSPA conference, you're going to get that. You're going to see it with your own eyes. And after you see it, it cannot be unseen. You're going to see vendors.
Yeah.
You're going to see consultants. You're going to see other people in your role, whether you're a technician, an educator. You're going to see different people giving educational segments from, how to maintain leak testing to scopes to emotional intelligence and transition. How you deal with the people you work with. All of that is going to be there.
It should be in the room.
So you should definitely be there. I'm going to be at HSPA. Luane, you'll be at HSPA. We're going to be there.
Absolutely. So Sharon, what's amazing about HSPA, for many of us in sterile processing, it's our one time that we get a chance to step out of our hospital, step out of our own sterile zone, and connect with our colleagues. For many, it's the Mecca, right? So we are looking forward to this year's conference. We are putting the word out on, and we're going to continue to spread the word because we want to make sure.
And and to be clear, and you're a sponsor. You are a sponsor of Scrubball. And what you said earlier, I want to just make that, you mean that. Knowledge and nonsense, I'm not a sponsor of Scrubball, but I'll be there. And I love it, and I'm glad to be there. Working however, in whatever capacity we're able to partner. But your company, CS Assist, like you actually sponsor Scrubball, and it's not a competition.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And it's amazing how people try to make everything one or the other. No, when you start really operating in your zone, it's yes and, not either or. It's yes and.
That's right.
Yes and. Yes, I'm going to be at HSPA, and I'm going to be at Scrubball, and I'm going to be at OR today, OR Excellence. Yes, I am.
And at your local chapter meetings. Listen, we showing up.
And I'm going to be with Fire next week. The 9th of April, virtually. Yeah. Which is the local Florida chapter. So it
all matters. We're part of this huge eco fair, and there's no you without me. And guess what? This isn't going anywhere. Knowledge and nonsense is here to stay. Shout out to our colleagues at SIPS Consults. With our whole team united. And our friends of friends will be at HSPA. We were at ARN. We'll be at the local chapter meetings, and we're definitely gonna be at Scrubball without hesitation. And I hope to see you there.
All right, let me do this. Again, guys, please connect with me. My name is Sharon Combs. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can check out SharonCombs.com. You can check it out on the website UCDIleadership.com. But subscribe to the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Do these things with knowledge and nonsense. So I said if you don't have a question that you want to put in the comments, you can text it to 214-717-5921. So let's do this right quick. You do have permission to have your own business. You don't have to ask. So you have permission to have your own business. The same way I believe a woman has agency over her body, a person has agency over them, over themselves, and over what they give their time to. Just because you work at one place does not mean you cannot have a business. This is America. This is America. But this is a capitalist nation. We're built on business. We're built on economy. We're built on the ability to barter and exchange goods and services. Hence the supply chain. That's why supply chain is such a big thing, because we are supplying goods and services to whoever, wherever, whenever there is a need. So you do have permission to have a business. You don't have to, if you're still afraid that the company you work for is going to do something to have backlash on you, I encourage you to check into some of your own internal barriers and to be informed. Fear works best when there is a lack of knowledge. We're born with two natural fears: falling and loud noises. Everything else is, if you get information outside of it being a phobia, an exception to the rule because it's a phobia. Once you get information about something, it is less fearful. It is less fearful because you become more informed. So if you started doing some videos, and this happened during the pandemic, there were people who were putting videos like on LinkedIn and different things, and their facilities told them, hey, you have to take that down. And I had a couple of people I was coaching, and they're like, well, they said I have to take it down. I can't do this or that. And I just had to walk them through with it. Your facility cannot tell you you cannot do a video on your social media. Now, hear this. What your facility can say is you have to adhere to the social media policies you signed up and agreed to when you became an employee, which may mean you can't be out there with your name tag that has the facility name on it, because that makes you a representation. That is you saying I'm representing them when you actually may be representing yourself. You can't go in and take pictures of their department and then come and put that on social media to say, look at this craziness. Yes, you will get fired there. And there may be some legal activity that takes place. So be apprised, #read, be in the know of what the social media policy is at your facility, within your hospital, your health system, and then navigate accordingly. But no company can tell you that you yourself cannot start a business.
Yeah, we hope they're feeding you knowledge and not the nonsense. Yeah. And guess what? We've also had attorneys on the show. We've had business owners on the show. We put people in front of you who you would like to become, right? So reach out, connect, and only investment you have at this point is your time. Spend it wisely,
And if you need a reset, get a reset, because you don't want to start a business just because you're so frustrated that you quit, because you're behind the 8 ball. Because now the monies that you would need to invest into your business to get it started, you don't have it, because you still got to pay your mortgage / your rent, feed your family, get your gas money, and gas is expensive right now. You buy clothes. There's still things. There's a cost of living. Just like there are daily operations in the department and in your workplaces, there are daily operations in your house. Your house is an operation. And so you don't want to make an emotional decision and just be like, I quit.
No.
To get out from under one weight only to have 11 other weights come crashing on you, because that what you quit was sustaining something.
Ask us how,
Yeah.
So the future's bright. We'll be making individually and as a brand, represent multiple brands. We will be at these chapter meetings, the multiple industry. We are providing content to many. Shout out to UC Leadership. Those folks in healthcare, those folks in any industry aspiring to be a leader. You want to know the different ladders to perfect your own styles. Reach out to Sharon Combs. I'm telling you, this lady is a beast.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Reach out to Sharon Combs. But so much is on the plate. We've been blessed. We've really been.
I'm excited. I'm excited about some of the things I get to do locally, like within job fairs, and I'm very excited about that. I'm excited even here locally, the partnership I have with SIPS Consults. There are things they do that people don't know. My gosh. as far as education, different scholarships, the school they've had for years. And I'm so excited about so many of the schools that have started. Other people are educating more people to be in sterile processing. But being able to work with SIPs there, going to partner. Just I'm excited about the job
It's
fair, y'all.
it's amazing. There's going to be an article coming out about this amazing healthcare system in Chicago that partner with Team SIPs, and the success story is amazing.
Yeah.
This is some people can talk about it, but there's actually folks out there doing it, doing
Yeah,
the
there's
deal.
so many that are doing it. There's so many that are doing it. And that's why I said it's important to be in the room. Be in the room. You're going to see so much technology at HSPA. You're going to meet people that you didn't know, and you're going to be able to extend your round table. Be in the room. Be in the room at Scrub Ball, because the leadership training at Scrub Ball is, you're going to get career development on a different level at Scrub Ball.
Yeah, real tools you can use
Yeah.
right
And
now.
accessibility.
Yep.
Accessibility. So, yeah, that's what we have. Again, things coming up in the future. We have some awesome guests coming up. I'm excited about next Tuesday show. We have another guest host. She is dynamic. She's dynamic, straight out of sterilization field. She has several thousand followers. Well, a lot of people have several thousand followers, so I'm not gonna say that. She loves what she does, and she is about impact and influence. And she's passionate about sterilization and passionate about people. So she'll be guest host, and we have educators who are going to be on next week. So, educators of SPD.
Right,
And I want to thank Arlene Bush for the title and what she does called Ask the Question. So y'all don't try to steal her title. It's called Ask the Question. Arlene Bush, ask the question. Ask the question. It's a lot of different instruments, a lot of different IFUs, a lot of different manufacturers, a lot of different vendors. It's a lot. Ask the question if you don't know. So I'm excited about next Tuesday.
Shout out to all the innovators. I see Jesse online on LinkedIn killing it. You know what's fun is that we get to do this as often and as frequent as we decide to do it. Right? My phone lines has been going off, and this is just a conversation. So we continue to invite you back here on Knowledge and Nonsense to just exchange. Meet our friends. Make new friends. Meet our brands, make new brands. So come back. We thoroughly appreciate the support in the past, the sustainability of the present, and the future looks ever so bright.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Oh, got to give a shout out to the process too. Alessandra and Diaz, give a shout out to them. They took a group. I think they crossed 700 in their Facebook group.
Nice. Week.
So kudos to that. That's what I'm saying. You're not like. Maybe you'll never go on LinkedIn, and maybe you'll never go to HSPA, and maybe you'll never come to Scrub Ball. But every day you go to work. Every day you go to work, and you're about that patient safety, and you're doing the best you can to make sure everybody comes home from the hospital. You're doing everything in your power to make sure that this is not a one-way trip to the hospital, about patient safety. And so you have these groups. If you're on Facebook, go into the process group.
Yeah.
Go into the group and ask questions.
Indeed.
Ask questions.
Shout out to the process. Shout out to CSS Nerds. Shout out to Hank being his team.
Yeah, Hank Ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
John Clean.
Keep doing
it. Central Nation.
Oh, Harry.
Group. The original. In the history of SPD, it ought to be a book or a statue or something of Nasir. I know people don't say his name often, but trust me when I say those in the know and those that you're listening to, they know who he is. Nasir Evans, he has a group called Central Nation.
Nasir should give the foreword to a lot of these foundations. So Nasir, if you're watching, we appreciate you, sir. We gotta get you up here to catch up. Listen, we know the genesis of it all. We know. We know.
And we're for you, man. We're for you. You have a standing invite on Knowledge and Nonsense.
Absolutely.
And anything we're doing, you have a standing invite to, even if it's not virtual and on the show.
Yeah.
Who else? No, someone else sterilized my life. Surgery Tray,
CSS Nation, Harry,
Yeah, it's listen. You're not alone.
keep shining, keep winning.
Sterilization is $1 billion industry. You know, it's $1 billion industry that has impact and influence. So choose your ROI, and it can be more than one, and make it happen. Make it happen, Captain.
Indeed. Hey, Sharon, this was a fun conversation. You know, we get to do this every Saturday. You know, 10 Eastern. Come join us. Come welcome to our world. And I look forward to talking to you. I always engage our exchange.
Man, I like it. I like it. So yeah, I'm going back to work. You have a good one. Enjoy your Saturday though, because I know you've been burning it. Working.
You see the merch I'm rocking, right? I love it. Get your t-shirts, get your sweatshirts, you know. Hoodie season hopefully is leaving in your area. T-shirt season coming back in. Represent.
We got some hats coming.
Yeah, I love it. So cool. We'll see you soon.
All right, I'll see you soon. Ta-ta.
Bye.